ways in which we could be happier and, I don't know, make progress, he sets aside, because that's what I mean by the word negation. Is like a positive approach would be more like he used to be in the 30s, where he would say, you know, he would be affirmative. You can do this.
But he was still negating at that time.
So would you say like okay, take the word love. Okay, love is not generosity. So that's negation, because you say, well, there is something like love. There's obviously something that he is, when he talks about this, something we all can connect to in one way. I mean, I don't know if it's feeling but somehow there is this shared experience or this shared thing, which is love. And then, well, but it's not. Let me
not going to show us what that is.
No, I'm trying to just get clear on the word negation. So there is this shared thing, but you say, well, it's not in generosity, and love is not sympathy. Love is not empathy. It's not kindness. It's not. But you know, it's like how do you say? I don't know. You have to say like the empty space in a cup is also part of the cup. Something like that. Yes. You know what I mean? But then they say, well, because it's trying to define the negative shape, like. If you make parts, like I have an engineering background. If you make parts, you have to make a mold, right? It's the negative shape of it. So you fill it then up with metal, and then you put hot metal in it, and then when it comes out, it's exactly that shape. Or if you use a statue or something, it's a bit like that. You define the negative space, and then a mold, and then you fill it up with the material you want, and then you get the object. So and my understanding is that negation is used in that sense. You define the negative space, well, it's not. And I assume, but why would that be? Yeah. So why is that happening? Why would he go about it through negation? Mm-hmm. What's the intent of that?
Yeah. Well, the intent, I guess, is to show what, let's say, love is, or what the positive is, by taking away everything that it isn't.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, this is how you can be happy. He takes away all the stuff that is causing unhappiness. It's a negative, it's the process of negation, I guess. I guess that's what I would mean by
sympathy does not cause unhappiness. Or kindness or sympathy doesn't cause unhappiness. But nevertheless, it's not love. Nevertheless, it's not love. But what I would say is that the negation is basically saying that it's false. It's not. It's not the real thing. It is not. Negation is not as well. Right? It is not that. It is not this. It is not that.
And it doesn't say that.
But you cannot define the other because it's beyond definition.
Yeah, exactly. That's so there's not something wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with kindness, right? So that's also good to.
Yes.
But he says there's something that you cannot put in words. He says every word you put on it is not the thing.
Yes.
So that's a challenge. Now, I think it's important because I mean that's more or less the negation is more or less. I think also in the 30s and the 40s. I mean there might be an emphasis difference. Yeah, what I would like to say is something like, okay, what I'm hearing when I heard the tape, and so I'm just putting that out there to be explored. I hear him saying, well, you know, there's this tremendous thing. There is this human potential of love, compassion. It's there. But as soon as you can get caught up in a word, you limit that thing, and that's not the thing. So I think, and my understanding of that is that he said, well, there is this potential to come upon it, but you get caught as soon as you positively affirm it. You get caught because then you label it and then you get caught in the idea. So, you know, so that there's a, but he says there's something
You think he was-
tremendously
you think he was
possible with
saying-
human beings. That's what I'm hearing.
You think you were saying that if you label it, it's not that, or is it?
Yeah.
It was actually conveying that the word sympathy, what it represents, it is not, love is not that.
Yes, yeah.
So it's referring to something real, that we have sympathy, or I sympathize with you, but that's not love.
That in itself is not love. The part
Not just the word, but I'm
Yeah.
saying that phenomenon, whatever it is, the truth of sympathy, is not, still not love. Perhaps that's what I took it as.
Another thing is, in the mundane world, when there is pleasure, most of the people will think good and bad about it, but they don't go to the root. That's why root is sensation. He's talking about sensation. That's where the negation starts. What he's saying, you know, in order to see the good, wholeness, you have to see the other side first. That's what I am seeing, the negation. The other side is what is bad. I mean, that's terminology I'm using. He doesn't use that like that. Okay? Instead of seeing what is pleasure, he wants you to see, he wants us to see the root cause of the pleasure, which is starting from the sensation, and when there is no sensation, which is negation, then it's not pleasure or it's not anything.
But then how do you relate that to your life?
The best thing is, it struck me there, when you have a problem, okay, physical problem, definitely I have to go to Munjar. That is not, that is written, we have to do it. But psychological problem, if I go to you, immediately you prescribe a medicine that is according to your desires, your actions, your experience. So that's where he goes into the Guru. When you go to Guru, he tells you according to what he thinks you should do it. So your problems are your own problems, nobody can solve it. That's what struck me. I read it more and more, but in this tape, when I came to, he said, your problems are your problems. You go to somebody else, you become a guinea pig of them.
And the negation, is it a way of breaking down authority, deconstructing? Because when you start saying it's this, this, and this, you're creating a system of belief. Oh, well, you know, this teacher says it's all these things, so then it becomes like a constructed thing mentally. And then you have the authority who said it was like that. But if you're saying it's not this and it's not that, the mind can't put that together as a structure of belief.
And what is then the problem of that authority?
And what?
Because you're saying that it becomes authority, but you seem to be implying that there's a problem with that.
What's the problem with authority?
It's rigid.
Okay.
And then you're
It's love,
looking to
but then you
someone,
have
and
to-
you're not doing the work yourself, you're looking to somebody, like, well, I don't know, but this guy seems to know, and he says it's this, this, and this.
But it's still not clear why that's a problem.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah. Why is authority a problem?
I don't think she said that it was a problem.
No, I know.
No,
But
it's
she was
implied.
implying it.
It's
Yeah.
implied.
You said it's a problem?
No,
It
she's
is
saying.
implied, I
It
just
seems
did
implied.
that.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm just putting it out because I think it's good to make explicit what we're saying.
Why authority is a problem?
Why is authority a problem?
Because you're not yourself, you're not thinking, you're depending on somebody else.
Yes, so. very comfortable and so happily dependent.
No, but are you happily dependent?
No, I'm just trying.
The question I ask you.
Can we bring that out?
Yeah, I am not. If I see it, for me, the more I go and approach somebody about my problem, it's not giving me complete satisfaction. So unless you perceive your own problem, the solution is not there. It's always second hand. Now, this is my practical experience. I'm not in a position to put it in words, but I'm saying it. That's why it struck my mind when you said, he said, you go to with your problems to somebody else, they definitely give you solutions on their experience. That's why the common usage of the word, you are not in my shoes, comes up. So, for me, there's a problem in going with somebody else at all. I mean, what is the problem? Because you don't see it, the result. And it's not never, for intelligent means, I'm not talking about intelligent he is using. For the intelligent man, he's never satisfied with that kind of solution.
I think it's only if you see it yourself that can only liberate you from it. If it's just an acquired theory or intellectual idea that somebody else is imposing on you, it does not have any power.
Yeah, but if I follow the trail that we had, which was Jan brought in negation, and that negation seems to be an important part of Krishnamurti, and it seems to be the negation of all object or ideas. And Phyllis said, well, when there are objects or ideas in place, when you positively affirm something, they become authority, right? And there seems to be a limitation to authority. There seems to be something wrong. We seem to be saying, it seems to be clear, but we haven't really exposed it fully, I think, that there is a problem with authority.
There's conflict. As soon as you have a rigid set of beliefs and an authority, if you're invested in that, you have to keep making it be so. And other possibilities, you have to keep them away because you want to keep this security of the system that you've invested in. So then there's a fight going on psychologically. If a doubt comes and it's like, oh, no, I don't want to think that because so-and-so knows and he said this is how it is. It creates more suffering.
So you're saying inevitably if you create authority outwardly by following somebody else or listening to, accepting somebody else's belief, or the inner authority, like your own ideas, that either way it will lead to conflict.
I think so.
Does it also, following Phyllis's idea, is that like he negates, why does he negate so much? Why is negation such an important thing in his ideas? It's just because I think, I'm just getting clear, maybe I'm wrong, but as was said that all of these things are ideas and thoughts, and then if you get hooked on a thought, that's an authority.
Yes.
So, and then you have to negate that authority.
Because?
But the other one, the love and the intelligence, is nothing verbal. It's not. It's not an image. It's not something verbal but thought is verbal. So to go beyond the verbal, we have to negate the verbal.
So in order to touch something real, we have to drop the word.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. I mean, isn't it what you were saying?
I think so. I had switched over to thinking about what you said, so I'm sorry. So I already moved to a different place.
You know, I guess I don't have such a completely negative view of authority. I think authority can be useful, and it's just like if authority is right and knows things that you don't, I think it can be a good thing.
Give me an example.
But, well, it's like I go to a mechanic to fix my car.
Wow, that's a
You
different.
know,
That's not
or
psychology.
even a therapist, you know, a counselor. I mean, I don't want to make a big case for that. I just think Krishnamurti overstates things quite often. But anyway, one thing he does here is like, he points out in these various ways that sound negative, that we're unhappy and that we're unsuccessful and that we're in trouble, and you know, it sounds negative, it is negative, because what he's pointing to is not a very positive situation, you know. And so that's pretty important that he would point out to us that we're not doing so well, you know. Good.
As a human species, we're not doing so well.
Yeah, it's negative, and it sounds negative, but what he's referring to is kind of the truth of the matter is that the way we do things is, there's problems with it, so, I don't know. Other people are not tending to do that so much because it doesn't sell very well. You know.
No, I made connecting both. You were asking what is negation. You were saying depression. Maybe negation is really a setback, but you don't want to face it.
Actually,
Yeah. Everybody wants to go forward. Negation means going backward. So which you don't want to see it. That's why that's maybe the negation, going backwards.
I just looked at my watch and I'm waiting for lunch. And it's amazing how quick time goes. So,
on the term
We're
of
reading it.
negation, on the term of negation, negation means normally we take it as a negative word, in the sense I catch myself being jealous, for example, and then immediately the term comes to my mind, I shouldn't be jealous. That is a negative connotation. But what I felt when I was reading Krishnamurti on this negation is, let that jealousy flower. When it comes out, it shows all the intricacies in it. That is what I felt is negation he talks about. That discussion went in somewhere with somebody.
could we follow up on that at 3 o'clock? Is that okay? I'm just saying because they maybe have the food out and it might get cold and they might be starting scolding us when we come.
Somebody else might eat it too.
And it might be somebody else might eat it. That might also. So 3 o'clock, is that okay? Okay?
Yeah.
Good.
3 to 7.
We start at 3 again.
Try to be on time.
Trying?
I'll be trying.
Trying is time.
Have a nice day. The other person says, I say, have a nice day. The other person says, I'll try. So all you're going to have is a trying day. See, that's why these pictures are here.
Why?
The flowers.
How you doing now, Francesca?
They're always flowering.
They're always flowers.
You and your words, man.
Well, those are that kind of answers. I'm looking into them. Why these words here? Really nice. Clarity, integrity, compassion, intelligence, awakening, significant transformation.
It's great getting that quality of a video. I really
Do you read the,
adults are watching some.
what is it about?
I have their own bad so I'm sorry. I swear that has.
That's one